Hi, I'm Eric Knowles, President of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, and this is the Chamber's Member Connection. But before we get started, a word from one of our sponsors. And so we're back, and I always talk about, and you probably say, he's always excited. Yeah, I am, because this is like an amazing opportunity to sit down with our members. But I'm truly excited about this member that we have on today. You talk about someone who has built a business and grown a business, and someone who is a major supporter of the chamber. I am truly excited to have Ms. Garrie Harris of Alpha One Staffing on.
How are you?
I'm
glad
great.
to be here.
I'm great. It's so good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you as well.
Absolutely. So, I mentioned the fact that you grew your business from the bottom up, Alpha One Staffing. Before we get into Alpha One Staffing, who's Garrie Harris?
Well, Garrie Harris is was a girl that grew up in Fort Myers, Florida. Then I got married and came to Miami, pursued a career in banking, and did that for a very long time. Branch manager of what's now Chase on 58th and 7. So I was very familiar with the Edison community. And that's how I became familiar with the Miami-Dade Chamber.
Wow.
Yeah, I started my membership with the Chamber with Dorothy Baker.
Wow.
She kind of
I didn't know that story.
You didn't?
No, I didn't know that.
She introduced me to Black Miami when I first became a branch manager, and just really, under her leadership and guidance, understood the business and Black business for sure. And after my banking career, I decided that I wanted to, do my own thing and start my own company, and just loved the staffing industry and recruitment, and decided that was going to be my journey.
Okay.
But I, throughout the entire time, just continued to be a member of the chamber, still there with with Bill. Yes, absolutely. And then with you, of course, which is absolutely amazing. If we go back and take a look at it, I know there's some members that have been in the chamber longer than me, but I'm probably up there.
You're up there, yeah.
With the
when
numbers,
you talk about Dorothy Baker, you definitely have been up there, because I've been there 8 years. Bill was there about 8 years.
Yeah.
And obviously Dorothy was 20 plus years.
Right,
so,
right. It's been a minute.
But the other thing that you don't know, that used to be my bank.
Because
I grew up on 53rd Street and 5th.
Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
I grew up around the corner, so I know exactly. I know the bank.
Yeah, I'm sure our path crossed back in the day.
Exactly.
When I was branch manager, my name was Kincaid, so everybody knows me by Garrie Kincaid.
Okay.
But
That I'm
was
sure we did
a love for the community. That's where I really fell in love with the community. I did not know at that time until I was actually assigned to that branch. And when they assigned me to that branch, I was very new to Miami.
Okay.
And I refused to go. I said, I absolutely will not work in that community.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
See, good things come out of the community.
Good things come out. And when I got there, I just fell in love with
Right.
the community and just realized that this was the place where I
Yeah,
was
I'm an
supposed to be.
Edison graduate, and
Red Raiders.
I'm a Red Raider.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
awesome.
So
Yes.
Alpha One staffing, I mean, gosh, when I think about employment these days and the challenges that a lot of employers are having,
Mhm.
what does Alpha One do? What is your sweet spot? What makes you tick? How do you do what you do?
Yeah, we're very fortunate that we early in our career we had some very strong partnerships with Career South Florida. When we started Alpha One, or when I started Alpha One with my partners, it was a very difficult time. It was in 2009 where we were in a recession as
Wow.
well. It was very, very difficult for a staffing agency or anyone that was doing any type of employment to survive. And we were very fortunate to land a small contract with, Career Source, and I think they became one of our first customers when we originally started. And we realized that we could take situations like that, and I'm going to say where there is a funding lag, that we could be their source of benefits and employment up
Okay.
front, and then we're actually paid, 3 or 4, 30 to 45 days later.
Okay.
So that's kind of how we made our name in the community. We kind of went with nonprofits that would need that upfront money, and we could do the payroll and the benefits for them and be
Okay.
paid later. So that led to us becoming sort of experts in municipality and nonprofit staffing. Went out for one of the largest contracts for Miami-Dade County, which you're very familiar,
Yeah.
back in 2012, 13, and just that catapulted us into a very unique position because we became one of the largest employers, Black employers in Miami-Dade County, hiring somewhere with the county, somewhere upwards near numbers of 600 or 700 at any given time. That experience led us to do more municipalities and more, contract labor. So we spread that out through the state of Florida,
Okay.
and other states, and kind of build our name and reputation on that.
Right, right. Well, you kind of being a little humble about it. Like you said, you started out in Dade County doing things, well, basically with Career Source, with, I don't know if Rick Beasley was around at
Rick
that time.
was around.
So
Yeah.
Rick Beasley and the Career Source South Florida. I have to bring Rick on the show because what he's doing is phenomenal as well.
He's a great person and very helpful.
And so, as you said, you transitioned to doing various municipalities and then the state of Florida, and then you said other states. But let's talk about that other state stuff, federal work that you've been doing.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a contract to provide staff with the Navy, and we've been doing that now for the past 4 or 5 years, which is great.
Okay.
We also set up another division to do disaster management.
Okay.
And that comes out of some of the stuff that we do with the federal government that has led us into other states. We do disaster management in states such as Louisiana. We've had people in Louisiana 3 or 4 consecutive years, and they're still working from the previous storms.
Wow.
And we do North Carolina, Texas, Mississippi, anywhere through that belt where you have disaster and storms. Yes, that's where you can find us.
Now you mentioned, like, you are, I guess, how would I put it, the undergirding of a company. You talked about benefits, et cetera. Talk about that a little bit, and how does that work?
Yeah. So let's just take the chamber, for example, and you wanted to outsource all of your employees to, a staffing agency. Then we become the employer of record.
Okay.
We pay all of the costs associated with the employee, the liability, the workers' comp, the food or the suitor, all of that, and we wrap that up benefits as well, health insurance, dental, life insurance. We wrap that up into one pricing for you as the employer, which is typically for small businesses and medium-sized businesses lower than what you can do it or an employer can do it, because we have the ability to have group rates that is maybe not affordable to small businesses.
Wow.
So yes,
that's interesting.
yeah.
And how many years you've been doing this?
I've been doing this now my company, this is our 15th year. In October, we're having our 15th year anniversary. But I've been doing this probably 20, 25 years. Okay. As I mentioned prior to that, I was in banking.
Right.
Yes.
So when we talk, and as I mentioned when we first started talking, there's a lot of challenges. You see a lot of signs out now. We're hiring.
Yes.
So what have you seen since the pandemic? I mean, we're from my perspective, we're still somewhat in the pandemic.
Right.
So what has changed for your company and for the industry since the pandemic? Yeah.
Well, the biggest change has been in the attitude of the employees. What we saw in the pandemic is that, they call it the Great Resignation. People just decided that they weren't going to be status quo. And I think employees realized that they had the upper hand as it relates to the pandemic. And they opted for better wages. They opted for better opportunities, and they spoke loud and clear to employers to say, we want this, and we're not going to come back to work until you can actually provide, a much better living wage.
Okay.
And I think that's great.
Right.
In a lot of cases, people were being underpaid and not really appreciated.
Right. Overworked,
and underpaid. So this is what has changed. So we are seeing an environment where the salaries have increased.
Okay.
The requirements have lessened a little bit. You still need to have the certifications and you still need to have the education, but you may not need the work history that you used to. Okay. People are given a different opportunity because, the demand is greater. So you see a lot of people who are coming out of college and university who are landing positions that typically require that they had experience, that they don't need that experience anymore. They're taking the education in place of the experience. So I think it's great.
Right. Now, there's another area where you have, I guess you would call us seniors who are going back to work. Mm-hmm. And how do you see that affecting the work pool?
I see that affecting the work pool in a very positive aspect. We have had a very large client in Broward County who needed to have people that were willing to work from 8 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon. Now, typically that would be a hard position to fill because, that's a difficult schedule and people usually want 8 hours or longer, but it was a perfect sweet spot for seniors.
Okay.
Because they get up early in the morning and they're usually done by 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon and ready to take that nap. So it was a great time for us to put that senior population to work. So, and not just in that, but that was a prime example of how we have been able to assist the senior population with long-term, sustainable employment.
Right.
So it's a great pool for us to cast our net out and find very good candidates. And when you're talking about the senior population, you're talking about people who show up, great customer service, patient, So it's a great.
Talking about customer service.
Yes.
That seems like it's pretty much gone out of the window
in
a lot of cases.
Yeah.
We both, and those who are listening, have frequented businesses, and customer service is not what it used to be. Mm-hmm. Talk about that a little bit.
I think, and of course I'm not the expert, but when I go to a restaurant or someplace, everybody's short staffed and the demand is so high. I don't know if you notice, even in the quality of the food, because it's so rushed. And then there's inexperience in the back house,
Right.
Which affects the quality of the food. And also there's inexperience in the front house, which is your customer service. So
Right.
there is such a need for that, those people. And I was just talking about the experience. The experienced people have moved on.
Right.
So now we are bringing in people who don't have the experience yet. And then there's a lack of service along with that. So I believe that over time that will massage itself out,
And
and the service
seen
will
it
get
happening.
better.
Yeah, I've seen it
Yes.
happening. Actually, I'll give you an example. I was at wasn't necessarily a high-end restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
but about a year ago, and the employees, as you said, it was like they had to have somebody there to fill the job,
Right.
and that's basically what that person was doing.
Right.
But the experience was not there, and you could see that.
Mm-hmm.
But I went back since, and it
Mm-hmm.
has actually transitioned some.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is challenging these days. I just find it interesting on the mindset of our younger people. Now we just talked about seniors. Now let's transition back to our younger folks who are coming out of college,
Right.
or not even going to college. They made a decision that they want to go into the workforce.
Right.
And a lot of our young folks, they want to be the boss.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that? And I mean, you're an employment agency, and obviously you're bringing people in to fulfill a need.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that, with those mindsets of, I want to be the boss? I'm not necessarily, and I use the terminology, learning how to mop the floor. Nobody wants to mop the floor.
Right. Again, that is a challenge. I think what we do is that we work with a lot of, I'm going to go back to the nonprofits. We work with, we staff a lot of industry where the students are brought in for paid work experience. And we then typically cherry pick those students who have done well in those paid work experience programs. Those paid work experience programs help them to understand that you have to come in someplace.
Right.
You got to work your way up to, what you feel like, is a good salary and a good position.
Right.
So it gives them a very good eye opener as to, okay, my expectation is that I'm gonna make $20, $30 an hour when I come in, but really it's $15, dollars an hour.
Right.
So those programs are great, and again, we pick a lot of those people from those paid work programs to introduce them to the companies that may need staff, and they've been pruned a little bit, so they know. Yeah, absolutely.
This time just runs. I can talk another good half hour.
Are we cutting?
Yeah, we're
wow.
Yeah, our time has ran on.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to know more about Alpha One Staffing, how can they get in touch with you?
Okay, great. You can visit our website at www.alpha1staffing.com, and where you'll find a myriad of positions that we have available, or you can give us a call and talk to us about the positions that we have and what's coming up. And we're coming into our hurricane season, so we really want to hear from people that want to work disaster management. So that would be a great opportunity to reach out to us and talk to us.
And that number is?
That number is, I can't remember the 800 number, but the local number is 305-620-3633.
And if you want to know more about the Miami-Dade Chamber, go to www.m-dcc.org or call the Chamber at 305-751-8648. Thank you. This has been the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection. Today, I stand before you, a proud graduate of Miami-Dade College and the 5th president of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. I'm honored to return to the college that prepared me to become a leader in our community, providing an education second to none. So I'm asking you to please tune in every Monday at 12 noon to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce's Member Connection, as I interview members of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce on our Facebook page at Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce or our YouTube channel, Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. To learn more about the Chamber, please go to m-dcc.org or call the Chamber at 305-751-8648.